Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm gonna show you how to do your Class B air brake inspection. This is an automatic. It's a 2019 International. It is day cab 3-axle, so with no trailer it is considered a Class B vehicle. Now I'm gonna start with my air brake inspections. Regardless what the scenario the DMV examiner gives me when I go check in and they finally call me up, I would like to start with air brakes. I don't want to do in-cab, and I don't want to do outside pre-trip. I want to get through air brakes and knock it out, since it is either a pass or a fail. There is no gray area in between. So I'm going to start with my air brake inspection first. I need to get out and chalk my wheels to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead, turn the vehicle off. You're going to take the key with me. Now when you get out, you want to do 3 points of contact, and you want to get out of the truck as safe as possible. So I like to scoop my chocks to the steps and then step down with 3 points of contact. And now I'm going to get out and go ahead and chalk the front and the back of one of my tires. Now, I always take the key with me. That's a safety thing, so I always make sure to turn off the truck completely and take the key with me whenever I get out of the vehicle at the DMV. Now the first thing I'm going to do is, after they've explained what they want me to do, how they want me to do it, I'm going to say, okay, I'd like to start with my air brake inspection. And the first thing I'm going to do is check my seatbelt, making sure it's properly mounted gear, it's not cut, it's not ripped, and it's not torn or frayed at all. And it does latch and unlatch properly, and I'll leave it latched. It is also adjusted to be the driver. So from here, I'm going to explain that I'd like to start with my cutout. Now, before I start my cutout, I want to make sure that I do a safe start. Now, in order to do a safe start, you need to make sure that you pull on the brakes to make sure that they're applied, and to make sure that your truck is marking that it is in neutral. So I have my shifter right here. Some of them have them down here, like on the Volvos, and some of them have push buttons. I'll point mine out right here. It is in neutral. My brakes are applied. Now I can go ahead and start the truck. Now, prior to starting the truck and taking this truck to cutout, my truck should reach cutout between 120 and 140 psi. And when I turn the key, I'll make sure that my ABS light turned on, and then mention that my ABS light turned off. Now, before I even turn the truck on, I want to make sure that I put my foot on the brake prior to starting the truck. Don't just start the truck with your foot off the brake. Remember, we're at the DMV, and now we have to do everything 100% safe. So I'm going to go ahead and put my foot on the pedal. I'm going to start the truck, and I'm going to take it to cutout, and I'll explain to the examiner what the purpose of the cutout. Like I said earlier, it should cut out between 120 and 140 psi. I'm going to go ahead and start the truck. And now I'm going to go ahead and assist the engine and the air compressor, building up air pressure a little bit faster by revving it between 1,000 and 1,500 RPMs until the truck reaches cutout. Now, another thing we want to mention is, when it reaches cutout, that we only want to use the primary air gauge for the purpose of this test. If the examiner says no, then you got to get both readings. So I'm asking permission, or I'm just going to let them know I'm only going to use the primary air gauge for the purpose of these next few air brakes tests. Okay, so my truck has reached cutout, and I know this because the needle stopped rising. It cut out at 130. This is a good test because it cut out between 120 and 140 psi. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into my next test, which is my applied brake leak test. Now, the purpose of this test is to make sure that I do not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. I'll ask permission for the examiner to time me if I do not have a timer. And I'll go ahead and shut the truck off. I'll explain that my wheels are chalked. I'm going to put the key back to auxiliary. I'm I'm gonna wait for the ABS light to turn on and off again. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and release my valve. Now we are doing Class B, so I'm only gonna release my yellow parking brake valve in this tractor. Straight trucks, some straight trucks only have the yellow valve. Since it is Class B, there is no trailer. This is a tractor, so we're only gonna release the yellow one. Now once the air pressure is settled, I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot and let the air pressure settle again. Now I'm going to give the reading on my primary air gauge. It's 98 psi. I'm going to go ahead and start my minute now. Okay, my minute is up. I'm going to explain to them that my air pressure is still at 98 psi, and this is a good test because I did not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. If they're not looking, I'll ask them, do they want to see the gauge? If they are looking, I'll say, is it okay that I remove my foot? I always ask permission. They'll say okay, or they might give me an indication if I did this test wrong by telling me, am I sure, am I okay with the test? So if I did anything wrong, that indication, are you sure, is letting you know that you probably did something wrong. You might want to start all over. Now you are allowed to start all over. Just make sure that on any given test, you take the truck back to cutout and start all over. So this was a good test. I'm going to go ahead and move into my low air warning. Now the purpose of the low air warning test is to make sure that the light and tones on my lower warning activate or turn on between 55 and 75, but no lower than 55. I'm going to go ahead and start pumping, and I'll let them know I'm going to start my test now. So I'm going to pump and take my time while I do this. I want to make sure I give them the correct reading from when it actually turns on and not go faster than it should. On this truck, it activated at 74 psi, which is a good test. My lower warning came on between 55 and 75. It came on at 74, and that's no lower than 55, so it is a good test. Now from there, I'm going to go ahead and move into my next test, which is my pop outs. The purpose of this test is to make sure that my valve pops out between 20 and 45, but no lower than 20. I'm going to go ahead and let them know that I'm going to start this test. And then from here, we just go ahead and start pumping the brake until that valve pops out. Now you don't want to go too fast. A good 1/1000, 2/1000, and then as soon as the valve pops out, we need to give the reading exactly when it happened. You don't want to give it extra pumps and give the wrong reading. Now I'm waiting for the needle to catch up to how I press the brake. I don't want to go too fast. "20 psi. This is a good test because my valve popped out between 20 and 45, and this completes the air brake. So we're going to go ahead and move into our parking and service brake test. Now this is a two-way brake check. We're going to check to make sure that the parking is working and that my service brake's working. So prior to starting my two-way brake check, I'm going to let them know that I'm going to turn the truck off and go pick up my wheel chocks. Once again, we'll get out with 3 points of contact, facing the truck backwards. And I'll go ahead and scoop my wheel chocks under. I'm gonna go ahead and put my seatbelt back on. Now, the next test is my parking brake test. The purpose of that test is to make sure that the parking brake holds the vehicle from moving forward. So the first thing I gotta do, since I have no air pressure, is I'm gonna do another safe start by checking my brakes. I am still in neutral. I'm gonna turn the key to auxiliary, wait for the ABS light to turn on and off again. And now we're gonna take the truck back to cutout. Now I'm going to go ahead and rev it to assist the compressor building up air pressure. Now on this cutout, you do not want to give a reading since we already did a cutout with the reading, so we know that the cutout's working properly. The only thing we're gonna do is explain when the truck cut out, if it did cut out. Another thing that I would like to mention is we do not go by the truck spitting, so once you hear the truck, you don't go by that. We go by when the needle stops rising. So as soon as the needle stops moving, we know that this truck has cut out. Okay, my truck has reached cutout once again. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my parking brake test. Now we gave the purpose already to make sure that the parking brake keeps my vehicle from moving forward. I'm going to go ahead and put the vehicle in drive. And I'm going to give it some gas, and it should hold my vehicle from moving forward. Okay, this was a good test. The parking brake did hold my vehicle and it did not move forward. Now we're going to jump into the service brakes. The purpose of this test is to make sure that the service brakes are working properly. Then we'll explain if the truck moved to the side, one side or the other, what could be the issues. So I'm going to go ahead and place the vehicle in drive. I'm going to release the parking brake. I'm going to move forward about 15-20 feet with my hands at 3 and 9. And then I'm going to step on the brake pedal to make sure that the service brakes are working properly. I'm going to start that now. I'll put the vehicle in neutral. My parking brake is applied. Now I'm going to explain that this was a good test. My service brakes are working properly when I stepped on the brake pedal, and the truck didn't pull to the left or the right. Now if it did pull to the left or the right, that would indicate something's wrong with my brakes. It might be out of adjustment, or I have a flat tire or a low tire, or I possibly have a damaged or broken suspension. I don't have none of that, so my parking and service brakes are working properly. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into my in-cab inspection. I'm going to start with my traffic monitoring devices, which are my mirrors, making sure they're properly mounted secure, they're not broken, loose, or missing, all the hardware is present. They're not cracked or pitted, there's no stickers obstructing my view, and most importantly, they're adjusted to me, the driver. From there, I'm going to go to my windshield. My windshield is properly mounted secure, it's not broken, loose, or missing, all the hardware is present, it's not cracked, pitted, or damaged in any way. There's no illegal stickers or anything obstructing my view. I'm also going to check the weather seal to make sure that the weather seal is properly mounted secure. It's not dry or cracked at all, and it will not allow any leaks to come into the cab. From there, we're going to move on to our windshield wipers and our blades, making sure they're properly mounted secure. They're not broken, loose, and missing. All the hardware is present. The blades are not dry or cracked, and they're firmly pressed against the glass. I'm also going to check to make sure that there's washer fluid, and we'll just spray a little bit just to prove that it is working properly. There is washer fluid. It is there. Now from there, I'm going to move into my dash. I'm going to go ahead and start with my DEF gauge here on my dash, making sure that I have a minimum 1/8 of a tank or more than 1/8 of a tank. We're a little bit over 3/4. So that one's working properly, and it is good. We do have enough DEF for the day. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn on my headlights, which are on, and start checking. My running lights should be on, my headlights are on, my dash lights, everything is on. Right there. My high beams are working, and I'll point to it to make sure that my high beam works. Then I'm going to turn my left turn signal is working, and I'll point to it. Then I'm going to go into my right turn signal, and I'll point to it. That's working properly. They're all working properly. And I'll go into my four-way emergency flashers. Now they're both working properly, so that one's good. From here, I'm going to go to my heater defroster, and I'm not going to play with it. I'm just going to turn them all on the windshield. So I'll just hit it 1, 2, 3 all the way up. Once we can hear that it's running, there it is. We can hear the fan came on, and it is working properly. And you might want to either turn the heat on or turn the air on, so that way your examiner's nice and comfortable. From there, we're going to go ahead and do our city horn, which is working properly. Oops, down there. And our highway horn, which is also working properly. Now from there, I'm going to move into my 3 emergency devices. I have spare electrical fuses that are in the fuse box in front of the panel over there. They're probably mounted secure, not broken, loose, or missing. They're in good condition. I also have 3 reflective triangles under your seat, which are also brand new. They're probably mounted secure. They're not broken, loose, or missing. They're not cracked or broken or damaged in any way. Those are in good condition. And the last emergency device is going to be my fire extinguisher. It's located on the floor to my left here by the door, which is properly mounted secure. It's not broken, loose, or missing. It's not cracked. It's not leaking. The pin is in place. It's charged with the needle in the green, and it is up to date. Now, once you finish your in-cab inspection, you're going to want to give yourself a few minutes to think, did you forget anything? Is there anything forgotten? And if you did not forget anything, then you can tell them, okay, this concludes my in-cab and air brake inspection, and we can move on to the outside pre-trip. If you have any comments, go ahead and leave the comments down below. I'll try to answer them the best I can. I also, if you are in Southern California, San Bernardino, LA, Riverside, Orange County, you can find us at SoCalCDLSchool.com or CDLBasicTraining.com. We also have online ELDT training. The online training is part of the federal requirement. That one has to be done also. Like, share, and subscribe, and give us a thumbs up.